In this week we'll cover YouTube's decision to restrict certain LGBT content and the controversy around ad revenue. Hello and welcome to Foxy Rocks Reviews. So in this week I want to talk in more detail about YouTube's restrictive mode and the controversy over ad revenue. I know it's been a hot button topic. I know there's definitely some videos released earlier this week regarding the topic, so I'm trying to consume them all and trying to get a deeper perspective from different people's standpoints. There's some things I found very interesting that come up later, which definitely infers there's other things behind the scenes which I kind of suspected to begin with. The overview is that the ad revenue side of things has been tarnished by some videos being applied to certain distasteful topics, maybe hate speech, maybe terrorism from various different religious and social backgrounds, and hate speech in general. And that's what's made advertisers cautious, so YouTube needs to react. I think they had to react in some ways. They couldn't just let it stand by. But people like the Wall Street Journal have been very much stirring the fire. Now there was one video I did see which was indicating that someone had found a way to effectively filter out some of these videos, and they were using it to hold them to ransom. I don't know how true or false that is, but I definitely felt that maybe that the Wall Street Journal was definitely jumping on that bandwagon. But this is what concerns me, is access for certain topic matters. For example, things like LGBT content. If someone is of a younger age, then how would they mostly access a video if they were questioning their identity? Maybe they feel most comfortable with YouTube. I mean, me personally, I am dyslexic, so I find writing and reading not impossible, but it's definitely an extra barrier to access that material. So I prefer to access things via the visual medium in YouTube and podcasts and things like that, because I just find it easier to access. And not mean I don't do reading, I do quite a lot of reading on different topics, but I generally find it easier for me. And this is what concerns me, is you are limiting access to potentially material. And as I said before in the previous video and a number of times before that, there is very big social implications of feeling isolated, feeling unsure, maybe you don't have a definitive identity, or maybe you're not quite sure where you want to fit in the world. And coming out and being out, those types of things can create more questions, so it can be very isolating, removing those things. I think from YouTube's standpoint, and especially when I used to go to school many moons ago, is that anything LGBT was tagged, I found. So if you're anything to gay, lesbian, bi, trans, anything of those groups, or even more of course, that there was a concern that would link to maybe things like pornography or other mature material that wasn't related. And I think probably this is where YouTube are being concerned, is that material labelled as LGBT may be used for some other means to gain access to some content that they feel that the advertisers wouldn't want to be attached to. And this is why I think a course of being mature and YouTube growing up has been used on several different occasions. I think this is very true now, because in TV it's been known for a long time. You have different shows and topics and types of entertainment for different audiences, and of course then the advertisers will then choose to advertise against that audience or against that category. This has happened for many years on TV. YouTube is different because obviously it's very online, and all the videos tend to be a lot shorter in their presentation, so it's not like an hour, half an hour shows. Most videos seem to be between 5 to 15, 20 minutes. Obviously podcasts can be a bit longer, but it's generally more a mass consumption of videos. And this is why I think that everything's falling down, is if labels were used appropriately and tagged appropriately, then this just wouldn't be an issue. I mean, I've looked through my YouTube roster and I do have advertisement revenue on there, but this is just to cover the costs of equipment, travel and all the other bits and pieces I do when I go to events, when I go to record, and then my mics and everything else. So it's not an income for me, and this, from my position, whether I have ad revenue or not, obviously I would prefer it because it makes my life easier, because obviously I would like to invest in some new equipment, maybe a better camera and things like those in the future. but it's not an essential. And I think this is where it comes down to it. If the YouTuber community as a whole can't earn a revenue, it means they can't concentrate more exclusively on that content. And this is where my situation comes in. I am in full-time employment, and that's what I use as my main source of income, with YouTube being something that I do as a passion rather than as an income. So it means that to some degree, some of the time, it has to come on the back foot for when I'm working, because I can in sometimes work 6 days out of 7, which is kind of a very similar thing that's happened fairly recently, where most of my free time around the Transgender Day of Visibility was used up by that. So for me to catch up on the videos I wanted to watch and try to read up as much as I can on the various topics was more limited. But this, I think, where just a more sensible approach needs to make. I feel that the Wall Street Journal has been very attacking and aggressing at going to companies to say, look, you are supporting X, Y, and Z because your content was featured on their video as in an advert that would go before it. And this is where I think more accurate labelling would actually resolve the issue. So just because something has LGBT attached to it doesn't necessarily mean that it's mature content. I mean, there's other ways in which you can assess a video to see if it does have mature content in it, or at least go towards that without needing someone to necessarily eyeball it, because there's just too much material. There's just too many videos being uploaded for anyone to go through. I think it'll take a whole nation just to go through all the videos being uploaded daily, just to vet them all, and that's if everyone uses the same categories. So it has to be something that's going to be at least semi-automated, at least flag up possible videos for them that can go through a more vigorous process. But this, I think, concerns me because it's almost like the mainstream media don't want YouTube to be successful because it takes eyeballs away from them, especially with the younger audiences. I find a lot of them are consuming a lot more YouTube content. Not saying they don't consume TV, but YouTube's more popular. So to take ad revenue away from that audience is going to mean that people like Coca-Cola aren't going to be able to communicate to that audience. And, you know, those are the people that are going to become teenagers and adults, and so on and so forth. So what I hope is there's a more reasonable outcome. I mean, for myself, none of my videos have been demonetized for that reason. There have been some to do with music, but then of course that's because I was at live events. That's where I want to kind of leave it at today. Thank you very much for watching. Again, I know these couple of videos have also been a little bit more than 2 minutes long, but I did feel they kind of all tied together. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I do really appreciate your time today. And if you do have any ideas, inputs, you have all the emails and comments. So if you do have any more ideas, please do let me know. And as always, please subscribe.